Welcome to Tea Talk Real Talk with Sharon Levy of Taking Tea in Style. And today I have two wonderful guests. I have my wonderful friend Missouri Eatings, and I also have Rita Pitts. So today we're going to be talking about something a little bit serious, breast cancer and just other types of cancers. So, these ladies here have gone through that process, and so we really want to just talk a little bit to them today about their journey. So, Rita, if you'd like to start, let us know, what type of cancer that you had and, how did it all come about and things like that.
Okay, I've had two types of cancer.
Wow.
I had bladder cancer and lung cancer. My bladder cancer was discovered just through a regular checkup.
Wow.
And when I went for my checkup, they, how the doctors, they'll do your blood and your urine and everything. And I was in my office, and my doctor called and told me he wanted to see me. And when I went in to see him, he told me that there were cancer cells in my urine. At that point, he sent me to a urologist who started giving me these treatments called BCG. My cancer was resistant to BCG.
Oh my gosh.
So then they said I had to have surgery. I was referred by my doctor here to a doctor in New York at Sloan Kettering,
Wow.
where I love. And the doctor in Sloan Kettering told me that my bladder had to be removed.
Oh, wow.
The bladder was completely removed. I had a 12-hour surgery, and they took 2 feet of my small intestine, made a bladder, and I go to the bathroom the same way I always went to the bathroom.
Wow, that's interesting.
I went, it was 8 years then, I was 8 years cancer-free. I went for my regular checkup, which was every 6 months, and I had a little pain in my side, and my urologist thought that I had kidney stones. Well, he said, I'm going to send you for a CAT scan so we can see if they're stones.
Right.
I went for the CAT scan, and the CAT scan, when it was taken, it took in part of my lung. It was part of the picture.
Okay.
And it showed that I had a lesion on my lung.
Oh my gosh.
And when they sent me for a full lung scan, I had 2 lesions.
Wow.
And I then went back to Sloan to a different doctor, and one was benign and the other was malignant.
Wow.
I had the surgery. I now have 1 1/4 lungs because they removed the left bottom lobe.
Wow.
So that just happened in February. So
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
looking forward to a very happy,
Yes.
helpful.
Yes.
life.
You
Well,
look
you
good.
look wonderful.
You do.
You're
You really
glowing.
do.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful.
I think it's all a matter of you have to say, I'm going to beat this.
Right.
You can't give in to it. You have to say, I'm going to beat it.
Right.
And you have to do whatever the doctors tell you to do,
Right.
and always listen to your body.
Right. Now let me ask you with that, is that unusual to go from one type of cancer to another type, like going from one organ to another, or?
Sometimes there are times, mine didn't go from one organ to another, but there are times that it can go from one organ to another because if it gets into your lymph nodes, it can travel.
Right.
But mine didn't travel, mine just reappeared.
Okay.
And my cancer, incidentally, was a predominantly, which was so hard to detect, was a predominantly male
Wow.
cancer. Very few females have bladder cancer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't
Wow.
either.
Wow.
Well, you really look
That's
good,
amazing.
Rita. You do.
Wow.
God bless you.
So you're part of any group, group
No, I haven't gone into any of the support groups that they have in New York. I haven't gone into them. All I do is I just spread the word to any women that I talk to about not smoking. But you don't have to be a smoker to develop lung cancer. I stopped smoking in 1970.
Wow.
And you're talking about, I'm not going to tell you how many years
Right.
later,
Right.
but it was a lot later.
Right.
Yeah.
So I talk to people, and whenever I see someone smoking, I tell them my story.
Right.
Or I tell people, whenever you hear you have anything in your body that doesn't feel right,
Right.
you see a doctor, pain is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you have a pain, it's good. It's telling you that there's something
Something's
wrong.
Right, exactly. And I know I'm not a person that likes pain, so the moment I have pain, I rush to the doctor. And I know,
That's
you know,
good.
a lot of women, I think a lot of women probably do that more than men, though. Because I know my father, he wasn't one to run to the
But
doctor.
I can say this, if you're a working woman, oftentimes you say, I'll see about that tomorrow, and you let that pain go. Because we have a habit of doing that. We worry more about our family
people.
and their pain
Right.
than we do about our pain.
Right.
We'll have pain and we'll continue to do whatever it is we have to do, cook, clean, wash clothes, or whatever the case may be.
That's true.
Well, I'm going to
That's
say for
very
me,
true.
that's not true for me
Most-
because I don't
most
like
women
pain.
do.
I'm a coward when it comes to pain. I really am. But you're right. There's women are always taking care of others before they take care of
Yeah,
themselves.
We do. But
Wow.
that's changing.
Wow.
That is changing.
Well, I am glad that you are cancer free. That's
Yes,
wonderful.
Yes, we
Because
are.
I'm sure that journey was just very, very hard.
It was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough. First time I was in hospital 1 month.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Now, did you have any
Second
kind of
time.
chemo at all, or is it
No,
just straight
I
surgery?
had chemo when I had the bladder surgery.
Okay.
I didn't have chemo with the lung surgery.
Okay.
But thank goodness,
Right.
because when I had the chemo, it was for me, it was difficult. I wasn't sick to my stomach,
Right. Okay.
but I was extremely tired, extremely
Right.
tired.
Wow.
Sure.
And I had to do 10 rounds, but I only did 7, and I said I can't
Okay.
do any more.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
So,
and I lost all my hair,
Right.
and it came back.
Right.
And then I cut it all off.
Right. I guess, what, did you get used to it being short? Or?
I will tell you, one of the things that I enjoyed the most, believe it or not, was when I was bald.
low maintenance.
Because
Just
I didn't
get
have
up
to
and
worry
go.
about
Low
a thing.
maintenance.
I didn't worry about a thing. I
Right.
went away on vacation. I didn't worry
Yeah.
about my hair getting
Right.
wet because I didn't
Right.
have any.
Right.
And I'm not a big makeup person,
Right.
but I wore a lot of makeup and big earrings, and I was
Right.
fine.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You know,
fabulous.
when you cut your hair short, that's what you do. Put on those
Yeah.
big earrings
Yeah.
and a lot of
That's
makeup.
right.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
right.
But
Bring
that
out other
cut
features.
looks very nice. It's very becoming.
It
Thank
does.
you.
It really
Thank you.
does.
Yeah.
And color too. I like
Yeah.
the color as well.
Well, the color is something
I
I
do.
I
but
can't
love
do
that.
anything about
I
it.
know, but it looks
No, it
great.
looks
You know, some people will
great.
color it,
Yeah,
but that looks
yeah.
really nice. It's stunning.
This is Mother
Yeah.
Nature.
Yeah, salt and pepper looks great.
It is
Everybody
great.
doesn't wear it well.
That's right.
Trust me,
That's
so
very
it's
true.
really nice.
That's very true.
And Missouri and your story.
Yes. Well, first I'd like to thank you for inviting me on to share my story. I'm a breast cancer survivor, as you both know, and I consider myself to be one of the fortunate ones. I felt the lump myself after getting out of the shower in 2010, and I knew something was wrong at that time, and immediately, made an appointment to go see my doctor.
Right.
And the moment that they told me that I needed to go to the Cancer Institute of New Jersey for further testing, I
Wow.
said, okay, this is really
Scary.
happening. It was very scary on so many levels. I'm a mother of 4, so the hardest thing for me was telling my children,
Right.
particularly my daughter, because
Right.
everyone knows how close we are.
Right.
But after getting tested, they determined that I had stage 2, and that the tumor that I had in my right breast was localized.
Okay.
I went through the mammograms, the regular checkups. During this time, I had a mammogram, I had the ultrasound done, and that's when they kind of sized it up and
Right,
everything. Then I had to go and have a MRI done. It wasn't until the MRI was done that they saw early ductals in the left breast as well, which was so minute, but it didn't show up in the mammogram
Right.
or the ultrasound. So I highly recommend women, if they can, to talk to their doctors about having an MRI done, because
Right.
what they told me that the MRI is 3-dimensional, and that's why, it showed up, and the others didn't. So, my journey was frightening, like most, women. Everything is uncertain.
Right.
And, being a entrepreneur, I had to make some quick decisions because I had heard so many stories about, what happens, because I had to, my journey was to take chemo first, because what
Right.
they wanted to do was to shrink the tumor to try to clear enough margin as opposed to having everything removed. They wanted to just have, just take the tumor out and have a lumpectomy versus a mastectomy. So the goal was to take chemo. I was on chemo for, about 6 months, and to shrink it, and then to have the surgery, and then go to radiation. That was the plan. After going through chemo, it really didn't shrink that much, and I really was not attached to one or the other. Like, I just wanted it gone. I'm like, if you need to take them off, take them off. I don't really care. For me, life is more important. But thank God I had a great team of doctors at the Cancer Institute in New Brunswick. Dr. Topmeyer is my oncologist, and Dr. Kearney, my surgeon, and they did an excellent job. They really, really, took care of me. I had some bumps in the road, and we'll talk about that later, going through the chemo, and but they, did the surgery and, cleared the margin. There was nothing in the lymph nodes, which was great because mine was really localized, and I caught it at an early stage, which was great, and I definitely recommend that, women definitely go get your mammograms and, get yourself checked out because early detection is best. And
I was going to ask now, you were saying not just the mammogram, but then the MRI. So when should you get the MRI?
Well, you have to speak to your doctors about it because it depends on the density of your breast and everything, like what's best. For me, because of my areas, they wanted to do the MRI because they were really zoning in on the right breast to really get the positioning of it. And so while I was there, they did both, and that's how they they found it. And it was so minute that my doctor, Dr. Kearney, said that when they did the needle biopsy to test it, they actually pulled it out because when they did the surgery to get the margin, he said there was nothing there. So they cleared the margin. So it was just quite a journey.
I mean, I had a scare years and years ago when they did the MRI. Not the MRI, I'm sorry, the mammogram. And it just didn't come out that great, so they had me go again. Of course, I'm like, oh no, that fear. But when they took it again, it was fine. So I was like, thank the Lord. But I can just imagine
it's frightening.
The scare that you get.
Yeah, it really is on any type of cancer. It's frightening, for anyone, because it's your life is just so uncertain while you're going through it, and then the drugs. I'm coming from a place where I never took any drugs other than headache medication, Tylenols or something like that, and now I have to take this chemo. And quite honestly, I was really debating whether I was going to go that route or go a more natural route. But my family said, just go and get it over with. So we did it. Came through. With flying colors, thank God.
That is awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, were you part of any support groups at all when you were going through it?
It was very, my journey was very interesting because when I really wrapped my head around that, this is really happening to me, given who I am in life for people, which is someone that's always about empowerment and being conscious of all of life, I started, going to the resource center and speaking to other people at the Cancer Institute, mainly the patients. They were kind of like, my babies. I'm going through chemo and I'm going around checking on everybody else because that's just normally what I do. And so I didn't actually join any particular groups at that particular time because I really was trying to get a handle on what was happening to me and how other people, were feeling. But through my journey, I realized the desperate need to actually support homeless women, going through cancer. Having not go through this type of thing, it never even occurred to me. So I realized that there are, women that are homeless without support. I was very fortunate, but there are women that are homeless and without support that that was the kind of the thing that came to me, you know, like, and it touched my heart on such a large level,
Right.
you know.
So were there a lot of women at that time where you were that were homeless that were going through cancer? That's how you discovered them, or?
There were a few that were in
Okay.
treatment, but I really found out more so about it because the Cancer Institute in New Jersey, I'm sure most of them probably do this, you know, like around Thanksgiving and the holidays,
Right.
they'll ask you if you need help, you know,
Right.
and they'll give
Okay.
you gift cards from like Stop and Shop,
Okay.
and if you have kids, they'll give you
Right.
gift cards for
Right.
like Toys R Us.
Right. Okay.
And, you know, I was asked that question. I was like, no, I really don't. And I said, and so I started talking with the social worker there, and she was telling me that there's a group of employees at the Cancer Institute that donate funds, and they buy these gift cards to give to people that are less fortunate. And I
Okay.
said, what do you mean? She said, well, you know, Missouri, there's a lot of, you know, women, you know, people in general, but a lot of women that are, you know, don't have family
Right.
members, and that
Okay.
they're homeless, and some of them live on the street, and they live in shelters, and that's when the conversation
Right.
really started to open up,
Right.
you know, for me, and it was something that just really grabbed my heart. And I said, you know, I can't imagine going through cancer and not having support.
Right. So let me ask you, when you were going through cancer as an entrepreneur, how did that affect you, you know, financially?
Oh God, it was very, very scary because, as you know, Sharon, as an entrepreneur, if you don't work, then you don't make money. Nobody's giving you a paycheck,
Right,
you know, every
right.
Friday or every
Right,
2 weeks, you
right.
know. So, I mean, you know, I had to really shut my business down. I got rid of my car, which I had payments. I got rid of it. I went and bought a car cash. Just so I wouldn't have to worry about payments, because I was debating whether or not I was going to stay in New Jersey or go in Pennsylvania to live with my son,
Okay.
because I had to give up my place because I wasn't, you know, I didn't want to spend the little bit of money I had, like paying everything, and not have nothing when I, you know, when I came out of it,
Right.
because I was planning on coming out of it. So, you know, I had to leave my place, and but, you know, I'm thankful because I had such beautiful friends and family members,
Right.
you know, in my life. And I didn't have to go to Pennsylvania. I had some really dear friends that live in White House Station that, you know, my family came and packed up all my stuff and put it in storage.
Okay.
And they said, come on, Missouri, you're coming to stay with us, and we're
Wow.
going to take care of you.
Wow.
And I tell you, they were truly, truly a godsend.
That's
you know,
amazing.
they truly amazing. Just, I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. You know, I didn't have to pay for anything,
Wow.
you know, food or, you know, room rent or any, they wouldn't take anything.
Wow.
They said, Missouri, just focus on your healing.
Right.
Just focus on your healing. We're going to take care of you. And it's really interesting because, you know, when you go through something, or you have a family member that go through cancer, you're very sympathetic.
Right.
You know, you learn a lot about it. So this was a learning process for me, but Russ, the husband of the couple that I stayed with, he lost his sister
Oh, wow.
to cancer. So,
He
you
knew.
know,
He was very sympathetic. He
yeah,
understood.
absolutely,
Wow.
absolutely. So, you know, I stayed there, gosh, almost a year,
Wow.
because, you know, my doctors told me that it would be about a year and a
Right.
half,
Okay.
you know, to actually, you know, get
The
back
whole
to
treatment.
life, you know, get back
Okay.
to life. And yeah, so it was,
Wow.
it was rough, you know, it was scary.
Right.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
hmm
Wow.
very scary. hmm
So what are some of the things that you want to do, or what are some of the things that you might want to do to help folks that have cancer or is going through cancer?
Well, one of the things that I am doing is working with Missouri for opening a place called home. And we're working to have our first kickoff event. In fact, it's this Friday.
I know.
It's this Friday.
It's exciting.
And we're
Yeah.
having our first dinner dance on April 11th.
April the 11th.
April the
yes.
11th.
Okay.
And it's the first annual, so this will be an annual thing.
Okay.
And we'll be working on different fundraisers
Okay.
in order to raise funds to get this home, and we also have a place that we would just love to have someone help us get, and it happens to be on River Road in Piscataway, and it's a facility that's not, you wouldn't believe it's like that in Piscataway.
Yeah,
It's a
beautiful.
big house. I think
Okay,
it's
great.
5 or 6 bedrooms. There's a huge gazebo in the back, and it faces the water,
The river.
the Raritan River, and it's on, how many acres is it, Missouri? It's on about, what's it, 6
Like
acres?
6, 7 acres.
6 or 7 acres.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we're trying to raise money for that,
Yeah.
and that's my prime focus right now.
Okay.
And that
So
was
how
really,
did that come about?
Yeah, that's what I
Because
was going to talk about that because, you know, again, I believe everything happens for a reason. And when I was diagnosed, I went from why me to what am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
And I started really paying attention. And then it came to me that these women are homeless and going through cancer. And then I got like, this is the why me, because right away I was compelled to do something because I could not imagine, you know, going through cancer
Right.
without support and
Okay.
nevertheless being homeless. I
Right.
just couldn't imagine it. So the friends that I stayed with, we started talking about it because I came home one day. I said, "Do
Wow.
you know that there are women that are homeless
Wow.
and going through cancer?" I couldn't imagine it. So so they couldn't believe it either.
Right.
And so we started talking, and we said, what if there was a place called home? And that's actually where the name came from.
Right.
We said, what if there was a place called home that women could stay and be nurtured and taken care of? Do you think, this could be a possibility? And that's how the whole thing unfolded. I'm
Just
always
a
calling
conversation.
in friends and saying, this is what, we want to do. So we started working on the executive summary and really looking at it, as a functional place and how it could happen, and talking to social workers and
Right.
the cancer oncologists and letting them know that this is what we want to do. Do you think there's a need for it?
Right.
And one of the things the social worker told us while we were in the process of doing the executive summary, that it sounds like a very valuable program. It's definitely needed.
Okay.
And if we could figure out the transitional piece to it, that we
Okay.
would really be onto something, that we would probably really get great support.
Right.
And so APCH was born out of that, and this was in 2010 that
Okay.
because I started working on this when I was going through
Right.
my chemo,
Okay.
because I want to go through life conscious, and I want to contribute, and I want to be on point with why I'm here,
Okay.
and learning this just took my heart, as it does
Right.
most people. When you
Right.
hear about APCH,
Right.
you want to be a part of it. And so we kind of borned APCH in 2010, and now here we are, 2014. Just doing our first big fundraiser.
Well, you know what, the idea sometimes takes a while
Takes
because you
a
have to really
while.
think about it. That sounds like a really big project in terms of what you're saying,
right.
to take care of women. So,
Yeah.
there's so many pieces, like building blocks that you have to have in place. And like you were
Yeah.
saying, the social worker said you need to have some type of
Sure.
transition, which is extremely important. So
That's
I
right.
can understand it's going to take some time to get great things.
It's
Yeah.
enormous.
You know.
It's an enormous.
It's an enormous project.
It's
you
more
know.
than just having a house and some bedrooms.
Right.
There are a lot of things that have to happen in that house,
Right. Sure.
and these are the things that really have to be worked out. The house itself and the bedrooms, that's not the problem.
Right.
And it's not a problem, but it's that you have to have, your nutritionist.
Right.
You have to have all these things. Who's going to take care of the linen? Who's going to do the cleaning?
Right.
This big place. Who's going to mow the lawn?
Yeah,
all those
the whole
type,
functionality
all
of
those
the
things.
house, and
yeah.
also the care, of the women. We initially planned to house 10 to 12, women, and this is going on our process. My doctor said in a year and a half. So we know we're going to have these women probably a year and a half to 2 years,
Okay.
in the house. So they have to eat, they have to
Right.
get back and forth to their treatments.
Right.
We have to know exactly when to start transitioning them into these
Okay.
programs that can help them and get them back into life. And my goal and our goal is to really have them go back into life as productive
Right.
women. So
Right.
that's going to take something.
Right.
We have to look at how that's going to, how that whole thing is going to unfold. But the driving force for me is that I see the vision,
Right.
and I see the impact that it has, that it's going to have on these women, and we're really, really going to contribute to saving lives and adding to that survival rate.
Right.
Because it's hard. You know, the first thing they tell you when you're diagnosed with cancer is not to worry.
Right.
And how do you not worry if you can't pay your bills, if you
Right.
can't
It's
take
very
care of
true.
yourself, and if you're homeless, you know, living in a homeless shelter, you're worrying.
Right.
You're stressed out, you know, so we want to really impact this, and we want to do it on a global level, and we
Right.
understand we got to start small,
Right.
which is what we're doing. We formed a committee of people that, you know, including yourself, Sharon's participating, to come together and do this first fundraiser so we can really make an impact
Right.
and bring awareness, you know, to the need, because I don't think most people even think about. I didn't think about it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Right.
before, you know, I went through my experience. I was not even conscious that. Of course, I know there are homeless
Right,
people,
of course.
but I didn't like put like homeless people
Right.
with cancer.
Right.
You know.
Just being
Put it
sick
together.
and homeless is hard enough.
Yeah,
But if you
exactly.
have cancer or any other kind of disease
Sure,
or illness,
sure.
you know, you have to think, how did they get healed?
And
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
most people
yeah.
don't think about things like that.
Yeah.
Because the other day I happened to talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
and someone said to me, "What a wonderful idea! I
Yeah.
never thought
Right.
about anything like
Right,
that." And then it was like,
exactly.
"Well, what can we do to help?"
Right.
So they may not be able to work on your committee, but
Right.
they might be able to
Right.
Do
know
something
somebody
else.
who
That's
knows somebody
right,
that
that's
knows
right.
somebody
Right,
that can help you
exactly.
out, or
That's exactly.
you know, or spread the word.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's something that we have to constantly talk
Right,
about.
Talk about and bring it.
Constantly
You know,
talk
I
about.
went to a friend of mine's New Year's Eve party, which was quite lovely, and you know, I've kind of been in and out of this person's life, you know, over the years, and I know that, you know, she had, you know, lost someone dear to her, you know, that had breast cancer,
Okay.
and I said, you know what? Instead of sending an email or, you know, putting it up on social media, I'm going to print a package out, send it to her, so she could read it and dissect it, and, you know, because I really wanted her to participate. And I got the most lovely message from her that she just cannot believe all the work that we've done. I gave her kind of 3 reasons why I would love for her to be involved.
Okay.
And she said, you have my full support.
Wow.
She was like, wow, you know, it just never even occurred to her
Right.
that this, you know, this problem exists.
Right.
You know, but I think timing is everything, and I think we all have our purpose,
Right.
you know, here on earth. And, you know, if I had never, and I'm thankful that I got breast cancer, because if I had never gotten it, I would not be working on this project,
Right.
you know.
Right,
And
because again, we know that there are homeless people, but because we're so busy in our lives and we're healthy,
Sure.
we don't think about those things.
We
It's
don't
not
think
until
about
something
them.
happens to us, whether some of us can become homeless, because
Sure.
there's a lot of people that have made money and they are
They're one
homeless,
paycheck
or
away.
That's
they've
right.
lost their mind and they're
Absolutely.
homeless.
Yeah.
So you know, until
Yeah.
something happens to you that's close to you, or someone else,
Right.
it's not until that point when you
That's
really think
right.
about it and you're like, wow,
That's
it's
right.
bad enough that they're homeless, but now they have
Yeah,
cancer too.
and they're alone,
So,
you
yeah.
know, and it's tough, you know, when you're going. My first bat of chemo was terrifying,
Wow.
because I think it was like a culture shock to my body, because I've
Wow.
not taken any medication. I'm like, well, I mean, I would go for chemo on a Monday, and by Wednesday I was on the couch for
Wow.
3 days.
Wow.
You know, I couldn't work, I couldn't hardly move. It just took everything out of me. So it was really tough. So
My first round of chemo, my concern was, will I lose my hair? The nurse said, in 26 days you will.
Wow. Wow.
And in
That's
26
amazing.
days,
yeah,
it was
yeah,
gone.
and not just
Wow.
on your head, you lose it
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Wow.
Eyebrows, eyelashes.
You don't even
You're
think about all
bald.
that.
You are
You lose
completely
it.
bald.
You have hair, it's
completely
gone.
bald.
Well, ladies, it was wonderful having on the show. Now,
Thank
let
you.
us know, where will this first fundraiser be? On
The
Friday?
Pines Manor on Route 27 in Edison, New Jersey.
Okay.
April the 11th.
Okay.
That's the big fundraiser,
Okay.
April the 11th. And the kickoff fundraiser is going to be this Friday at Delta's restaurant in New Brunswick,
Okay,
this Friday the
wonderful.
10th.
Wonderful.
And, you know, we have tickets and sponsorship packages, everything online. Currently, everything that's online is on the entertainment site, which is styletainment, theshow.com. But we are in the process of working on building a APCH site directly that people can go to. They can also go to welovecola.org, which is the 501c3 organization that we're filtering APCH under as well. So,
All right, wonderful. Well, ladies, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
Well,
you for
until
having
next
us.
time, we'd love to see you for Tea Talk Real Talk. Bye.